Hi everyone, this video has been brought to you by freedomfromalldebt.com, itsnotourdebt.com and defendourhomesleague.ie. Please enjoy, we have an interview after the video. Thank you.
And I have an order and I'm not showing it to anyone, I don't have to show it to anyone.
Excuse me, John.
Mr. Wilson can see it if he's welcome to see it.
Mr. Wilson, can you see the order here? John, sorry. Guards, are you on your road here today?
Sorry?
Are you on your road here today?
We only have, it says the sheriff.
Yeah, but are you on your road here today?
Garda Oath.
Are you on your Garda oath here today?
I've no comment to make to it.
Okay, well, it's on YouTube anyway, so the Gardaí aren't even on the road.
Do you know your oath?
Go on, have a look. Yeah, have a look.
Have you identification?
No, I don't have identification.
Well, then sure, we don't know who you are. That's a piece of
There's the
paper.
warrant signed by the county registrar.
Yeah, but who are you?
County Sheriff Pat Dunn is my name.
Right.
Mr. Wilson knows me here.
Yeah, but are you the sheriff or not the sheriff?
I'm here representing the sheriff.
Representing the
Yeah,
sheriff.
but we rang your office yesterday and you told us outside you were the sheriff. Why is the sheriff not here?
You didn't speak to me yesterday. Tell you the truth.
No, we rang your office. We rang your office and they're all saying you're the sheriff and you're not the sheriff.
I am the sheriff, yes.
You're not the sheriff.
You
You just said you're deputy sheriff. Now, are you the sheriff? Hold on. Are you the sheriff or not the sheriff?
Look, I've no further comment to make.
Then,
because
okay,
I
but
don't
then
even know who
sure,
I'm
go on
speaking
about
to.
your business then, because you've no business here.
I'm here on the authority of the courts to execute a warrant.
Yeah, that's right. And we haven't seen the warrant, nor have we seen the court orders yet. And we ask you who you are. Right, and you said you're assistant sheriff. Why is the sheriff not here today?
That's the court order.
Who signed it?
What's the proof
Who
of your
signed it?
identification?
Fedderson.
Where is it?
The sheriff has signed it. But that's the sheriff.
That's the warrant, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the sheriff.
Yeah.
The sheriff is signing his own orders.
I'm sorry. Mr. Wilson has gone through the courts.
I understand that.
He's appealed this.
I understand. We know
I
that.
know down right up to the High
Yes.
Court, and our instructions is to execute the warrant.
Exactly. But I'm saying to you is your warrant is signed
Who am
by
I
the
speaking?
sheriff.
Who am I
Ben
s-
Gilroy is my name.
Yes.
And you're-
And who are you representing?
I'm representing Defend Our Homes League here today.
Yeah.
Right? Now what
Okay.
I'm saying to you is that order is signed by the sheriff.
Yeah.
Right. So he's making his own orders as a private company to come and take homes.
Look, this is
I'm getting paid
fully
for it.
legal. Okay?
Not
It's
lawful,
what?
If you want to go to the courts and contest the order, you're more than free to do
Well,
it.
hold on, but sure, the registrar is the guy up on the bench where they're doing the orders and he's signing his own orders and coming as sheriff then to inflict them.
Yeah.
You think that's legal?
This order has been through the court.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But the person who gives the order is the registrar, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yes, in some
he has
cases,
jurisdiction,
in some
yes,
cases.
except Dublin
Yeah.
and Cork, that's right. But in
In
Laois
some
it is.
cases.
Yes.
No, it's not always in Laois.
No, we're talking about the registrar in Laois. He's
Yes.
the same, he's the sheriff and the registrar.
The sheriff, county registrar, exactly.
Yes,
That's
so
his
that's my
title.
point.
He's
right.
the sheriff,
so
county
that's not
registrar.
lawful. He sits up on
Yeah.
the bench
Well, that's-
with his registrar's hat on, makes an order,
Yeah.
steps down, puts on his sheriff's
Well,
hat,
if
and
you-
now makes money out of inflicting these orders on
What do you
people.
mean makes money?
He's making money as registrar or as the sheriff.
He's employed as county registrar sheriff.
I understand. I've
As
no
a-
problem.
under a
I
week's
have no.
wages.
I understand. I've no problem with a week's wages
Yeah.
as registrar.
Yes.
My problem is when he gives an order, he steps down off the bench and
Well-
is a private company then acting as sheriff.
If you have a problem with that,
We have a huge problem with that
Well,
because it's not lawful, and
take-
we're asking the Gardaí
take
to
it up.
uphold the law
take it
today.
up with the courts. No point in taking it up with me.
But the point is, when I'm saying to you about the sheriff's office, when I go to the courts, the sheriff then puts on his court hat. That's totally
that's-
illegal, and there's no separation of powers there.
But if it was illegal, why has it been going on for generations?
Because it hasn't been going on here. It hasn't. I tell you, okay, I'll tell you why. Because now the people have educated themselves, and they're not people with pitchforks anymore.
right, yeah.
They're educated people to stand up to the likes of
But
you
you're-
coming doing these orders.
Mr.
And we're asking the Gardaí today
Mr.
now to
Wilson-
uphold the law.
Mr. Wilson went into the courts and appealed it on various
And
grounds.
what business of that is yours? Like what I'm saying to you
It's
is
none.
you're a private company.
I'm not a private
You
company.
are. Who are you then?
I'm here from the sheriff's
And
department.
who pays your wages?
The sheriff, the
Yes.
civil service.
Yes,
private.
exactly. They're a private company though. They act on commission.
We're not a private.
They act on commission.
Who does?
Do they act on commission or not, the Sheriff's Department?
I get absolutely nothing whatsoever for this today other than my week's wages, which I will get on Friday.
And it's a proud week's wages to get. Come
Well,
and take
I
Irish
have
family
no-
homes off people.
Look, I'm sorry, I don't take any pleasure out of this no more than anyone else.
Right.
I have
Well,
to say,
look,
and I'm
all
doing
I'm
this,
saying to you is,
I've
we're-
been doing this job for almost 31 years,
Right.
tell you the truth, and my work has never been questioned.
Right, well,
I've never
Well, it's about time it has been.
I've always
Not a
dealt
big
with
question
questions.
here today.
I've always dealt with people in as much a business-like fashion as I could.
Well,
and
let me ask you then.
Right.
Well, when you have that sort of fairness, then, do you think it's fair that the registrar, right, makes an order to repossess a house and steps down and puts a sheriff's hat on?
What the registrar does is way above me. To be honest with you,
that's not the question I'm asking you.
But you're here on behalf of him today.
I'm asking you. Whether it's fair or unfair, it's not my job to comment.
Well, is it lawful then?
Well, it obviously is lawful.
Why? Obvious to whom? I mean, to most people it's not obvious.
It's obvious that the courts say it's fair.
But he is the courts.
He is the court.
That's like asking me, is it fair that we don't let you in here today? Of course that's fair.
Look, you keep going around that circle forever.
I'm asking you a question though, and I keep asking you the same question.
Yeah.
The registrar gives the order. Then he puts on his sheriff's hat and tells you go and repossess the home.
Exactly,
and you think that's fair.
That's right.
And lawful.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm telling you it's not. And I'm asking the Gardaí today to uphold common law, which they're sworn to do. And this is not common law. Now, also under the Constitution, a man's house is inviolable under the Constitution except as to law. What law did this man break?
I'm not saying he broke any law.
Right, but then why are we here?
He broke no law.
The Gardaí should represent the Constitution.
Why are you here? Because he got a mortgage which hasn't been paid.
Yeah, but the bank got paid for it though.
No, the bank
got
Securitisation.
The bank got paid for it.
If they did, I wouldn't be here.
Now look,
Hold
on a second. What I'm saying to you today is, under the Constitution, Section 40, Section 5, subsection 5, a man's house is unviable under the Constitution except as to the law. We're all law-abiding people. And what I'm saying to you is, respect the law, and the Gardaí should respect the law as well. The common law, which they were sworn to uphold. And the man has not broken any law, so his home is inviolable.
Well, why am I here? I don't know why I'm standing here today.
Well, neither do we.
We're saying the same
That's all the
thing.
case.
But the court judgment is signed by your boss, the sheriff.
Well, I mean, if everything you say
is true. Well, I show you the Constitution.
I don't see the Constitution. I'm not a solicitor.
You don't need to be a solicitor to see the Constitution.
I don't want to see the Constitution.
Well, the guard will tell you what the Constitution is, I'm sure.
You've got sufficient time to go back into the courts with the Constitution.
We'll be going back into the court. But
well, why haven't you done it before today?
Because there's a challenge before the courts, and we're asking you to hold on until such a time as that's heard.
Yeah, but Mr. Wilson got a stay of execution.
Signed by your boss.
No, he didn't.
No, but you're staying.
He went to the High Court and got a stay of execution.
That's right.
Which no longer stands.
Yes, I understand that.
Yes.
But the judge at the time was not aware that there's a constitutional challenge being made as to the power of the registrar.
Yeah.
A registrar has only got the jurisdiction of something like 36,000 in the circuit court, am I right? Are you telling me this house is worth 36,000 or he hasn't stepped out of jurisdiction?
I'm not going to
right.
put a value on the house
at all.
Of course.
Yeah, well he stepped out of jurisdiction. I can tell you it's more than 36,000.
Well, obviously the order was fully okay.
Well, obvious to who?
When the High Court dealt with it.
But that doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you is the High Court is not above the Constitution in this country, nor is it above common law. They're commercial courts and they've no jurisdiction here.
This is it, yeah.
Right, well then.
Well, look, guys,
this is the law of the land. It's not operating under the laws of the sea.
We're not going to do one today because obviously you're preventing us from doing anything.
We're not preventing. I'm only asking you to go and check the Constitution and find out where the referendum took place that says a man's house is now viable when he doesn't break the law. I understand if a man commits murder out there and runs into a home, I agree the Gardaí can go into the house because that house is viable. You can go into it because he has broken the law. But that's the only case under our Constitution where a man's home is viable.
Well,
and that's the I didn't make it up. I mean, go home and read it and tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I'm not making it up either, to tell you the truth. But I mean, why am I getting warrants for possession of property?
You should be questioning it. We're here questioning it.
Why should I question a judge of the High Court who is way above me?
But he didn't give the order. Your order was signed by your boss, the sheriff.
Germany made the same excuse.
Yes, but your order here, I understand that, but your order is signed by your boss, the sheriff.
Okay.
Right. The role of the sheriff was to protect people, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so antiquated and ancient that you're coming enforcing these laws. Now, our new laws, the Constitution, are well after the Shire Reef laws came. And the Gardaí are here today under common law, which they're sworn to uphold. And that's the Constitution.
The Gardaí are here today
I have great respect
for my
the Gardaí.
protection.
Why do you need to be protected?
That's why they're there.
Why would anybody be attacking you? There's nobody attacking you, is there?
You're making it out like you need protection.
It has happened.
I understand.
It has happened.
Well, look, there's nobody here to
And
change
it's always
you.
the case.
I understand.
And that's the reason why the Garda is so.
I understand.
You needn't be trying to drag these people into it.
You brought them. You brought them.
You're using every little twist and angle to benefit yourselves here.
Okay, but let me.
That's what you're doing.
Okay, give me a chance. I have no axe to grind with the Gardaí. I think they do a terrific job when they uphold common law, which they're owed to do, and that's all I'm asking them to do. Don't pretend I'm against Gardaí. I'm not. I have never been in trouble with Gardaí before in my life.
Yeah, I never.
So I don't have any trouble with the Gardaí. I respect them. But all I'm saying is that they also must respect the Constitution and the laws of this land. You're coming with old Shire Reef laws from the UK, which we quicked out of here years ago.
Right.
Right, and that's all I'm saying to you. Now you're also saying, why should you question the order
why
given?
haven't you dealt with all this stuff long before now?
Because Lee only got in touch with me and I only knew he was getting repossessed, so we intend bringing cases back before the court.
But Lee has gone to the courts himself and appealed all these things.
Yeah, but Lee wasn't educated about it. Yeah, he wasn't educated about it, so we're educating him. And that's all. We're asking you to respect the Constitution. You're not above the Constitution, you will agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Well then have a look at Section 40 and come back, and if you think we're telling untruths, that's fair enough.
It's not up to me to deal with them matters, to be honest with you.
You're going to break the Constitution because you're told.
I'm not breaking anything.
I was just following orders.
The Constitution.
Can you go and check that out?
Would you go and check it out and just see if I'm
not going
right?
to check the Constitution whatsoever. No, it's nothing to do with me.
Constitution.
It's everything to do with you.
It's nothing to do with me. I've been sent here by the sheriff to execute a warrant.
So the Sheriff's Department is above the Constitution?
Well, he's got the order. It's been appealed.
No, that's not the question I asked. I said, is he above the Constitution?
I'm not saying he's above the Constitution.
But it doesn't appeal to you at all.
Mr. Wellstead has appealed this order, and he's gone to the High Court.
That's fine.
And yet the order still stands.
That's right, but it's in conflict with the Constitution.
So
we'll need to bring a case. We have a case before the courts coming in April.
Why didn't the High Court say, well, I'm sorry, the County Registrar couldn't give
because
this
they're
order
a commercial court for making money, that's why. They're a commercial court. That's why when the Gardaí act as policy enforcer, that's where we get the word police enforcer. It's not a matter of seeing it that way.
Well, it seems that
it wasn't the common law court, was it?
This is it, yeah.
It wasn't the common law court.
Well, no, it wasn't the common law court.
Well then it's a commercial court,
this
right?
is it, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
so,
it, yeah.
and that's what I'm saying.
It, yeah.
So that is not under the Constitution. We here represent the Constitution of Ireland.
Yeah.
And that's all we're saying. We're not here threatening anybody. You're never
threatened.
But
obviously you're not going to allow me in to
but we're only asking you if the rights to come up. Who owns Ulster Bank?
Well, I don't know who owns Ulster
Her
Bank.
Majesty's Treasury.
Who owns Ulster Bank?
Well, Her Majesty's Treasury do.
The Royal Bank of Scotland.
But you're here doing our work against our Constitution.
That's fair enough.
Absolutely.
That's fair enough.
International treaty there.
Did Lee ask that when he was borrowing the money?
No, he didn't because he wasn't educated. But we're educating him.
He wasn't educated. No.
This is it. But you're not very educated yourself. You told me you didn't know the section, and you're the one enforcing it
for the last 31 years.
For the last 30 years.
And the Constitution, you don't need to know the Constitution.
Yeah, but look,
wrong for 31 years.
I deal with people every other day.
Look, you seem like a nice man to me.
All they're interested in when they want to buy a piece of property is where they can get the money.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But hold on a second.
When they can't pay it back, it's a totally different story.
I agree with you, right? But when the banks got into trouble and broke the laws and looked for the money, the Irish people didn't go evicting them like they should have. They were made bail the people out, and that's another injunction we're bringing.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So that's the point, right? And can you prove to us today that the taxpayers' money who bailed out the bondholders are not some of the bondholders in Ulster Bank?
No, I can't.
Why is that?
This is it.
Well, you see, that's the homework you should have done when you were claiming Lee wasn't educated. You should have educated yourself.
I'm not claiming he's not educated.
Look, you seem like a nice man. I don't want to get in an argument with you. All I'm asking you is respect the Constitution and common law in this land and go and just check. If you find you're right, come back.
The banks have also securitised this mortgage.
Right. Thanks very much, guards. Thank you.
Well done, lads.
Sorry, guys.
It sounds like an argument.
Pat Dunn is his name. What? Pat Dunn is his name.
people driving away.
Yeah, that's what's wrong.
Excuse me, guys, let me out.
41 years.
Let's out there. Sorry, let's out there.
Sorry there, bud. Stand back a bit.
Guys, round of applause there.
Bye bye. If every Monday morning was as good as that Monday morning.
Hi Ben, how are you?
Good.
I saw the video. What an amazing piece of work. How is it that you stopped the guards, the sheriff, and they had court orders and everything to take the house? How was that possible?
Well, the court orders, as you've seen, were signed by the same department as the sheriff. I mean, the county registrar is the sheriff in all counties except Dublin and Cork. And this is absolutely no separation of powers, as I explained to the sheriff. So I find that unlawful and conflict of interest.
So, why did the sheriff lie about being the sheriff? He said he was the sheriff and then went back on it and said he was the deputy sheriff.
Well, I think they actually know that there's a huge conflict of interest here. I mean, of course they know. So rather than highlight it, he would come and say he's the sheriff because the order is signed by someone else then. But when I pointed out to him, because I already knew who the sheriff was, when I pointed out to him that the order is signed by the sheriff, now you can see how ridiculous it is, because the sheriff is signing his own court orders. Sure, if I could sign my own court orders, I'd be a very wealthy man.
Yeah, so you said that the sheriff is signing the court orders as the registrar. So is it just a case of he's just finished in court and then he goes and puts on his sheriff hat, or what does that work then?
Yeah, I mean, he acts as court registrar, so he has his registrar's hat on, so he's like a mini judge, and he makes a decision to forcibly take somebody's property. Now he steps down off the judicial bench and puts on his private sheriff's hat and goes out and profits from this.
How? How does he profit from it then?
Because as the sheriff, he was representing now a private company, and he basically works on a commission basis.
Hang on, a private company? I thought the sheriff was employed by the government. What I don't understand that. Ben, explain that to me.
No, he works for the government, but it's a private company.
Okay, that's fine, fair enough. So, can you explain the non-separation of powers there? Like, I know they're the same person, but is this not the done thing? Is this not the practice in Ireland?
Well, it is. Unfortunately, it is, and people need to educate themselves, and that's why we put this video on YouTube, to try and educate people. Now, there are a number of other issues as well, like constitutional issues, and you'll notice I quoted from the Constitution, and it's here for everybody to see. It's under fundamental rights and personal rights, and it's section 40, subsection 5, and says the dwelling of every citizen is inviolable and shall not be forcibly entered save in accordance with the law.
Ben, you're using all these big words and they don't really make sense to a lot of people. What is inviolable?
Okay, well, inviolable means secure from trespass or assault, and it also means that it's sacred. Now, it's not obviously a big word I use, it's in the Constitution, so our forefathers were quite educated, but it's a terrific word and explains that the house is secure from trespass or assault and is sacred. And so what the sheriff was trying to do today was trespass against the house, which is unconstitutional. Now, it does say save as the law. So the law is law of the land. That would be common law, or what's commonly sometimes called natural law.
So it's not the law, the fact that he came with a signed order from the judge saying that?
No, he would have to come with a signed referendum of the Constitution.
Brilliant. So something I wanted to ask is, which bank is it that's bringing the case against?
It was Ulster Bank that went looking for this order today, and Ulster Bank, as you know, has 70% ownership by Her Majesty's Treasuries now, and that's maybe why they brought in the old Shire Reef to take care of business.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the Shire Reef law. I know there's a few questions being asked about the sheriff's ability to enter the house, and apparently in Ireland there doesn't seem to be a problem with the sheriff entering the house. What's the story with this, Ben?
Well, there is a problem for people who understand common law and who know the Constitution. There's a huge problem with the sheriff entering the house, and his laws date back, even you'll hear the sheriff on the video say it, from hundreds of years, and that's quite correct, but our Constitution in the 1930s has said that that's not allowed. So we had a law reform commission look at this some time ago, and they did say that the sheriff entering the house forcibly is unconstitutional.
Right, so you've got basically the practice in Ireland is the sheriff just goes into the house, but yet the Constitution kind of just says he shouldn't be in the house, and the Law Reform Commission said he shouldn't. So, like, which takes preference, Ben?
Well, common law always takes preference in Ireland because Ireland is a common law jurisdiction, and you can see that the Gardaí behaved extremely well today because they were on their oath for common law. That's the oath that they take to uphold common law. So that's what they did, and I commend the Gardaí today for doing that because they just stood back and upheld common law. And common law wins every time, obviously, in a common law jurisdiction.
Do the courts recognise common law? Is common law in the Constitution?
The common law is the Constitution, among other things. I mean, the common law dates back to before Christ's time, so that's the common law, and that's why it's been tried and tested for a number of years on the land, and it's a perfect law. There's nothing wrong with it. If it lasted that long, it'll last till I'm well and gone.
Right. Look, Ben, I'd like to say thank you very much. Again, I'd like to say a big thank you for everybody who helped. DefendOurHomesLeague.ie, freedomfromalldebt.com, itsnotourdebt.com. There's many organisations out there. If you're in Ireland, there's many organisations in your area who are willing to help you. You might not know of them, but they are there. Again, if you go to freedomfromalldebt.com, there will be a links page there where you can get the information of groups in your areas. If not, ask someone in your area. Contact DefendOurHomesLeague.ie. Again, we hope this has been helpful and informational.